Are we live? Looks like we're live. Hope everyone can hear me. This is the usual I guess they can, because Louise has to turn the volume down on the MacBook that she's not used to. There we go.
I need my computer.
This is, I know, we forgot Louise's computer today. So, everybody, can you all hear us? We're on a little bit, we always seem to be rushing around, don't we? So, if everybody can hear us, it would be amazing if you could just let us know what's going on. If you can hear me and also Louise, can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Is that it? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
There we go. So everybody, can everyone hear us? Everyone come up onto the stream saying yes, yes, yes. Are they there? Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone come on. Cool.
Yep,
Okay,
great.
so maybe wondering why we're back downstairs. We have a full complement of staff. Today we've got Sharon, that's just out of shot by here. She's busy. She's busy. Stick your head in. Not quite. You're not even in there yet, Sharon. Keep going. Keep going. There you go, that's about it, yeah. That's Sharon's back with us, Jason's back with us, but he's actually upstairs. We've got him sort of, should I say?
Ostracised.
We've ostracised him and we've quarantined him. He's just come back from Poland, but we want to make sure that he's completely COVID free, and so we're keeping him upstairs for a few days.
Sounds like a pet.
Keeping him upstairs for a few days out of our way, and we're going to give him, well, we aren't, but he's going to get a COVID test later on in the week to make sure he's all clear before we let him down here. The last thing we want to do is for him to start spreading COVID around the place. So that is the reason why he's upstairs. He said it's a bit like a scrapyard challenge upstairs, because he obviously doesn't have the tools and equipment that we have on hand here, so he's having to sort of make do with things and sort of improvise. But all his tools are upstairs, the rolling mill's upstairs, he's got everything that he needs upstairs apart from food and water. So so he has been there's a little hole in the ceiling just up by here that you can't quite see, just right by the stairs, and he's been passing us little messages saying, can I have a coffee,
I think you should
please?
stop now, because people are going to report us. We're going to be in trouble. Sounds terrible. It's not as bad as it sounds.
We're keeping him locked upstairs, aren't we, so to speak. So let me just move a few things back and forth here so we can see Louise a little bit better than what we're doing. There we go. All right, so everybody had a good week, I hope. It's been another manic week. Live, we are 105 people on. Yeah, we are responsible. We got to think of these things. He went to Poland. He's come back. We don't know who he's been exposed
it's the
to.
aeroplane that worries me. The fact you sat there for hours on end in the cycle there,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah.
know.
See, we're not-
You
we're
can't
half
enforce,
and half
can you, anything?
No,
On
exactly.
an
Yeah,
aeroplane. Once
yeah.
you're in the sky, that's it. If you don't want to adhere to the rules, who's going to make you? Really?
Yeah. So yeah, we've had to sort of impose. Yeah. Is that okay, Louise? Is your shot okay for you there? You're just in shot.
Yeah. That's
So, all right, it is Monday. Is it the 7th today?
It is, yeah.
Monday, the 7th of September. Time for our question and answer. May we have our first question, please, Louise?
Yes, you may. Vito is asking, my sheet stock tends to wrinkle instead of flat or a smooth curve when passed under the rolling mill. How would one avoid this? Thanks.
Okay, so sometimes the rolls are slightly not even, they're slightly offset accidentally, or what's it called? Sharon can help me with words today as well. Not eccentric, what are they called? When they're not quite central, they're offset, accident. Offset, yeah. So it's sort of like it squashes, rolls a bit further and less, and so forth. Also, it could be to do with the fact that perhaps the bearings are slightly off. The bearings may not be even, and it's putting uneven pressure upon the sheet. Sometimes the rolls aren't completely parallel, and perhaps there's a little bit of a dip in the middle of one of the rolls, so when it goes through it doesn't quite roll evenly. Depends on what rolling mill you've got. If you've got a budget mill, well then there's not much you can really do with that, I'm afraid. But what the best thing for you to do would be, if you're passing sheet through this way, your best bet then is, when it comes out the other end, is to turn it 90 degrees and pass it through that way, just to try and even out any irregularities upon the rolling, or perhaps turn it 45 degrees and put it through if you can. That's going to be the best way to do it. Or when you pass it through, perhaps if you're passing it through, you're starting to put it through and the handle's in this direction, and then you roll it through. Perhaps start with the handle down the bottom, perhaps, and then pass it through. So altering the position of your handle may help, because if every time you put that bit of metal through and it rolls through, and at this point, for instance, the rolls are slightly off, and it's the same every time you put it through, you're going to get that same bit of deformation in the same spot as well. So that would be the best thing that I can suggest. If you've got a real top-notch mill like a Durston, perhaps just seek some advice from Durston or the suppliers where you got it from, because it really shouldn't be like that. But making sure that the metal is nicely annealed as well, and it isn't too hard and not work hardened. And that would be my best bet for you. Maybe have our next question, please, Louise.
Yes. Joe is starting a jewellery course at the British Academy Jewellery in Birmingham, the BAJ. Do you know of them, and what reputation do they have in the industry within the UK?
Yes, very good. What was the name again, please, Louise?
The British Academy Jewellery in Birmingham, BAJ.
I think this started off several years ago as the Holtz Academy in London. I think I may stand corrected there, someone can tell me. But yeah, absolutely no problems at all. Top class tutors and instructors, not a problem with them at all. Really good courses, really good instruction. I got no problems at all with them. Something that, yes, I would personally recommend. So yeah, absolutely well done. Congratulations on doing that. Is that like a 1 year course, is it? Does the lady say, gentleman say?
No, it doesn't say.
Doesn't say, but yeah, good course. I know they do several courses. They do something for retail, they do something for like repairing, for setting and so forth, and design and drawing as well. But yeah, well done. No, good course, but yeah, well done. Like to know how you get on. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Julia is asking, could you please discuss the pros and cons of a hydrogen torch, especially in terms of efficiency, maintenance costs and safety? What brand would you recommend?
Okay, so there's a brand called Aquaflame that I have used. I think Microflame, was it? I think it's yours, Aquaflame. I think there's somebody here in the UK in Birmingham that supplies those. Yeah, they're pretty much all standard. Sometimes they're the same case and just branded with different manufacturers. I have had one of these in the past. They are safe to use because there's no gases provided. You don't have to provide propane, for instance. It uses distilled water and MEK that mix, that then produce a gas. I found myself that it was quite a noisy machine. I found that if it was turned on all day, it was a constant, it's worse than that computer. It was a constant drone all day long. The flame I felt was just too fine for what I wanted to do. You don't necessarily need a fine flame to do fine work. It's how you use the flame, not necessarily the size of the flame. So I found that the limitations on that was quite restricting, because we like to do some melting down in crucibles and so forth. So I found it very restricting. I found I had to have that and another torch, which I felt was silly, because you should only really need one torch for doing that. That's why we now use these Smith's little torches here, because we can get big burners that go on them that can melt a good 3-4 ounces of metal with those burners, and you can still put on the small little tips onto them as well. This way here you can just about see that, and that's about a number 6 tip. It stays on, never comes off. Even with the finest chains, no need to change the tips. Maintenance costs, yes, you do have to have them serviced every single year. Again, that adds to the cost. I think the service costs are around about £100, £120. What's that, $150, $180 every single year? For me, that seems nonsense, because it's just like buying gas. You pay rental on a bottle, which costs about £100 a year. You pay £20–30 then for your oxygen, for instance, and it's the same price. So I found that the cost of that and the regular maintenance was just prohibited. So I sold mine in the end. I just could not get on with it. It was too noisy, too expensive to run. maintenance wise, and I couldn't do melting down with it. So they are good if you're not allowed gases in the building that you're in. It's ideal. That's Jason, he's going now. He's had enough, I think. Bless him. Is he allowed out? Have we unlocked him? Have we taken the chains off? Have we taken the chains off him?
He is joking.
Yeah, he is joking. All right, next question, please,
Just
Louise.
to confirm, Jason hasn't been chained up or restrained here in any way, shape or form. Okay, Janet has been reading Small Scale Silversmithing. It mentions caulking around the top edge of a dish/bowl, etc. How would you get an even edge top?
To a bowl or a dish? I would just get perhaps a sheet of emery paper and rub it on the emery paper just to get a nice flat surface. You put that on a piece of glass, piece of perspex, nice flat bit of formica, wood, something like that, and then you can get the bowl and just rub that over the top. I think that is what you mean, and that would get a nice even finish, a nice even surface on the top of your bowl. If you want to get down to that, I would perhaps what would I do? You could also put the bowl upside down and then get like a pen and draw around it to get a nice even edge to it. Then you can file down to that edge, then you can rub it then upon the board with a piece of emery paper. I think that is what Janet means. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments and we'll come back to that a little bit later on. But I think that's what you mean. But yeah, flat piece of emery paper, give it a rub. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Leslie is trying to make a long, thin, cone-shaped bead cap for the top of a long aquapraise drop. Have I said that right?
Yeah.
But I can't get the right shape. Is there a formula to make different size cones, please?
Okay, so there is not necessarily well, there's a formula. Let me try and get this into shot this way. Come here, Jace. There you go. Here we go. All right. So this is Jason, by the way. Yeah. I get more work out of the board. So the idea would be, let me just try and move this camera around a little bit towards more the board and not me. There we go. So you want to, I got to try and remember how to do this now. Flat sheet and a cone. Right, okay. You ignore that line now because that shouldn't be there. So you have the outline of the cone that you need to make. Okay, so this is the cone upside down. This is perhaps the tapered end of your tapered gemstone, for instance. Can we see that one? Oh, I haven't got my zoomy thing on this. So that's what you need. Okay, so you've got your point here. That's the tip. If you want to stop it short and have a flat end here, you do need to continue the lines down to the bottom. Okay, so that's important there. Then you get your dividers, your compass, and you put one leg here, and you go da 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 da, and you draw an arc around. So that's the arc coming round. Okay, then you measure this distance from there to there. So that is the diameter. What I would do then is divide that by 2, so that would be the radius, and I'm doing it by 2 for accuracy because we've got a curved line here. So you get this, say this is 1, I'll tell you what, let's make life easy. Let's say that's 2, so the radius is going to be 1, okay? So you put your dividers here, and then you mark off 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that equals basically pi. Pi 3.142 times the diameter. So that the diameter is 2. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. So then you draw a line from here to the point here. And this area now that you have got here is the shape of a piece of silver or metal that you need to cut out to make that shape cone when you bend it. Okay, you have to add on, 0.142 of whatever it is. So if you want to add on a smidge, and that's a technical term, a smidge, onto here. So this area now is the area that you need to cut out of your piece of sheet. So when you bend it around into a cone shape, it'll be this shape here. It's not necessarily a formula, but it's a bit of geometry and a bit of workings out on how to get the right shape metal for the cone. And you can also do that when it comes to settings as well, because in fact, if you wanted it cut short like that, again, you put your dividers here, and you do that, and that then would be the shape. You can do that with tapered cones when you want to do settings as well. Say you just wanted to have a tapered setting in this area here, you put your dividers or your compass point there onto here and scribe that line, and that piece of metal there, once it's formed around, would be the right shaped tapered setting for what you're after. A long explanation, but that is the correct method of getting the piece of metal ready for your cone shaped. Next question, please, Louise.
Janet's just confirmed caulking in the book refers to hammering the ridge of the bowl to make a strong rounded lip.
Oh,
but my worry is hammering too much and denting. Perhaps a burnisher can be used.
Okay, I think I understand.
Perhaps he's making dishes for Louise.
Yeah, I understand what you mean now. So yeah, so you get like a cross pane hammer. You've got the edge of the surface like this. You have the cross pane hammer on the edge, and as you hammer, it'll sort of thicken the edge. You just got to practice it, because you've got to keep nice even taps all the way around. Keep your elbow into your body and tap, 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 tap evenly all the way around. It's just practice and evenness. If you do happen to get a little bit sort of further down, well then just look at it, be in front of a white surface so you can see at the dip. If you've gone too far, just go back and tap, tap, tap. A marker is always very handy to put upon the areas that you don't want to tap on or that you do want to tap on. So just do that and you should be able to get a straight edge. But that does come with practice. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Bernd is asking, can you melt all metals in the same crucible? Not at the same time, though.
Ideally, no, because there's always some sort of residue left after you've melted it that could contaminate the next metal. So, for instance, if you're melting silver, you would keep a crucible specifically for silver, for sterling silver, for instance. Then I want to melt some gold down. Okay, I want to melt some 9-carat yellow down. You have a brand new crucible for the 9-carat yellow. You don't want to use the silver one, because if there's any little bits of silver in it, it's going to contaminate the gold, and vice versa. You want to melt some 18-carat down. You don't use the 9-carat crucible. You have a fresh crucible for 18-carat, and you need that for whether you're melting yellow or white or red. You've got to have different crucibles, otherwise you may get some cross-contamination that will contaminate either the color or it will contaminate the fineness of the metal. So don't use a 9-carat crucible for 18-carat. If there's only 9-carat in the crucible, it'll lower the quality of the 18-carat. You've got 22-carat, you've got to have a separate crucible for 22-carat, because anything less than 22-carat is going to lower the quality, and especially here in the UK and Ireland, where we have assay offices, it will contaminate it and your piece will not pass the assay if it's 22-carat. So yes, always have separate crucibles. Next question, please. May we have one, please, Louise?
Okay, Johan is asking, do big brand jewellers like Tiffany's or Cartier have better materials or finishings than small jewellers? Or are you primarily paying for the brand and the whole trademark?
Finishes. Okay, so obviously you pay for the craftsmanship and the knowledge and the experience. The metal is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be exactly the same silver. They use the same suppliers, so Cookson or Metalor or whoever you deal with in the whole wide world. They will perhaps get their metal from them. What you may find is that these big companies have their own alloys. So it may not be the same alloy that you would buy. Perhaps they have a certain alloy that they work with that works well for them. They then will order the alloy specifically from the refiners that would be just for them and nobody else. When it comes to equipment, it's the same equipment. It's the same Durston roller mill that I've got here, perhaps a bit more of a modern one. Perhaps they may have a bigger one, a double, an R4, double up there, one down there. They'll use the same type of polishing motors, albeit perhaps a bit more expensive because it is purely for the extraction and so forth. Because we were watching that program on, what was it, Louise, the other day we were watching?
The whole market, the assay office one, wasn't it?
No, the one where they made the settings in platinum.
Oh, Oh,
Or
was
that?
it the shop in London?
Yes.
The handbags and I can't remember the name of the...
No, it was
Oh.
Sharon, Royal Jewellers. Name me one in London. Anyway, it was them. Garrett's, was it Garrett's? It was something like Garrett's, yeah, something like that. But they went to the workshop and the guy was drawing down the platinum to make the settings, and he was using a Durston rolling mill. Asprey's. It was Asprey's. Yes, Asprey's. Nice, thank you. And they were using the same equipment. They're using the same polish. They're using Menzerna or Tripoli or Rouge.
I didn't like that documentary because it really portrayed the jewellers in the goldsmiths in a really poor light. I think.
Yeah.
It was all very polished and. The designer was very much, I'm so stressed about I'm not doubting or denying that's a stressful job, but then they went down into like the furthest, darkest...
Well, that's where workshops usually
yeah,
are,
I know,
aren't they?
But then it was very much, can you do this? And he was like, well, it's a lot of work. And they were like, great, get on with it, Tra. And then the designer took all of the...
All the credit in the end of it, yeah.
And he did all of the painstaking...
Yeah.
And then he got to go outside and look in the window at the end and nobody knew who he was or... He was just...
Yeah, but isn't that always the case? Like with places like Tiffany. Tiffany just put his name on it. He hardly ever made anything. Never made anything. It was always the workers. The Fabergé, for instance. Yeah, that's the way it was. But yeah, the jeweler wasn't.
They were portrayed as kind
and if
of
it wasn't for him
uncultured.
doing the work, they wouldn't get half the stuff or half the clients, would they? Yeah. I know it was a bit. We were sorry. It came across, didn't portray it very well. But the equipment that they use is the same as you or I. They use the same manufacturers and so forth. Polish, mops. They use like the Fordham pendant motors. They will use what is reliable and what is out there. So the quality is there. The quality is available. The equipment is there for you to produce the same quality as Tiffany's and Asprey's and Garrett's and all the other jewellers. That's a long answer, wasn't it? Yes, Louise, what is the next question?
So, we went off the point about then, didn't we? I can't remember how far we got. Let's see.
302 people. Thank you. Yeah, thank you to everybody who's watching.
Tammy, last week I practiced soldering copper rings with silver solder. The contrast helps. So see well I do. The contrast helps see what I do. The borax flux I made from 20... Oh, that was just a thank you, sorry. That's a bit of a waste of time. Sorry. Not a waste of time, but yeah, thank you for your comment.
Well, thank you, Tammy.
Waste me reading it out.
Thank you.
Juiced Fox, just wondering if you have worked with stainless steel at all, or is the metal too hard to work with?
No, I don't work with stainless steel. I have no need to work with stainless steel. The only thing to do with stainless steel is perhaps cutting something up to make something, to do something with it. But I've never sort of tried to solder it or tried to polish it, although we do polish stainless steel watch bracelet straps on occasions, and we do put the texture back on, the matte texture in the centres, that sort of thing. But apart from working with stainless steel, I'm afraid I have no idea. Sorry. Next question, please, Louise.
Anko is asking, is a rawhide mallet better than a plastic or nylon hammer?
Some people swear by rawhide mallets, some people swear by rubber mallets, some people swear by nylon-faced hammers. It is purely a matter of preference. I've had my mallet for quite a while now. You can see the shape of it is looking pretty sorry, but I just get on with it. As you can see, it's absolutely stinking dirty, but I use it every single day. We just pick it up, it's reliable, it's there. I've never had to condition the face. People say, how do you condition the face? It's just far too hard, it's too shiny. Some people will go outside and bash their mallet on the wall or on the patio. Thank you, Sharon, for that look. Some people will bash it just to try and soften the face a little bit. There's no need to do that, because you're going to get bits of grit and grain and stone in the face. You go and tap a silver ring, it's going to mark it. So don't bother trying conditioning the face, to be honest. Just start using it, and as you start to use it, it'll slowly become conditioned, slowly become slightly soft. Some people will like what's it called? Not a dead mallet, a rubber mallet with lead in the head. So when you hit it, the lead will make the hit dead and it'll stop and it'll form the metal better. Some people will prefer that type of mallet, but I think it's purely preference. Whatever you start off with, I started off with a rawhide mallet 30 odd years ago. This is about the second mallet I think I've ever bought. Well, not bought, but here in the workshop. I think Jason's is upstairs. I think Jason's looks even sorrier state than that. That's the only one he's had, bless him. So yeah, there's no difference. It's just what you prefer. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Sean would like to know, can you please tell me which burner you use on your sievert torch for normal soldering works?
Normal soldering, it's the pencil nozzle. Pencil nozzle, if you've got a Hamilton Gas, hamiltongas.com I think it is, they're an Irish company that sells sievert products. Get your products, if you're in the UK or Ireland, obviously from Hamilton Gas. It knocks the socks off everybody else's prices. It basically half the price of Cookson's. You get the general gist, the idea. Go on to hamiltongas.com. In Ireland, look and search for the pencil nozzle. It is just a nozzle that sort of is that shape, and it is on a bent nozzle like that with a thread like that. It's on that sort of shape. This then screws onto the handle. It's the pencil nozzle. That's all you need for general soldering. The best thing about a sievert is the fact that then you can buy a separate neck that screws on instead of the pencil nozzle, and from that then you can put on burners to start melting down with. The best torch that you could possibly get for general purpose work. But yeah, Hamilton Gas, I think it's Hamilton, can you just check on that please? hamiltongas.com I think it is. hamiltongas.com, and it's the pencil tipped nozzle.
Oh,
it's not hamiltongas.com. Just search for Hamilton Gas and see what comes up, I think. Hamilton Gas. That's them. Hamilton Gas, was it?
Gasproducts.co.uk.
Oh, it's gasproducts.co.uk.
What are you looking for? The pencil?
Pencil nozzle. Pencil nozzle. Louise is just checking this for me.
I can't spell pencil.
Can't I? Under pressure. Dun, 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 dun.
No. It is coming up.
Pencil. Is there a sievert section on the top? Blow torches. Search for blow torches. Ah, here we go. Oh no.
No, this is
no. Go back onto the top. There's when it says blow torches. Click on that.
Blow torch accessories.
Is there nozzles? Sievert power. Yeah, sievert. Torch handles and burners on the bottom. Yeah. And it's gasproducts.co.uk. Similar there than there. There it is there.
That one?
No, right. That's the one. Cool. That's the one you need. Louise is going to post that up into the chat now. But that pencil nozzle is the best one that you can get. What's it called? It's the Jeweller's burner, I think it is. Cool. Excellent. There we go. Pencil nozzle. Oh, that's right, pencil nozzle. That's the best one you need for jewellery. And whilst you're there, have a look for then, search for the necks and also the big burners as well that you can use for melting down. There we go. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Lorraine is saying 2 pieces of aluminium can never be soldered together, right?
I'd say wrong. The normal way of using borax silver is not the way you should go down. But you can weld aluminium, but I don't know how, but there's obviously specific ways of being able to weld it, whether you weld it with electricity or spark welding, something like that. I expect you do. But you can't solder aluminium using borax and silver. It will not work, but there are ways. But I think it's completely out of reach of us mere jewellers, I think it is. That's a bit more of an engineering side. You didn't ask your dad, perhaps. Would he know?
My dad.
Yeah, your dad, yeah.
He probably would, yeah.
So we'll ask Louise's dad. Not now, but we'll come back to you whether you can actually
weld. I can text him, actually.
You can text him?
It might take him about 5 hours.
Can we just have a next question whilst I answer that? Then you can.
can.
Is that okay? Sorry.
Burnt is asking, I want to do a lost wax casting but have no equipment regarding the heating part. Can you use an old household oven for it?
If you're talking purely about removing the wax from the flask, just about. The problem with an oven, it doesn't go hot enough to burn all the carbon that is left from the wax in the flask. Kilns go up to 1,000 degrees that will completely obliterate any carbon that is left. It becomes red hot. If you go on YouTube, search some of my vlogs from 2 and 3 years ago. There's quite a few on lost wax casting. You'll be able to see the temperature that those flasks get to, and they have to get to that sort of temperature because when the wax burns out, there's always residue left. The heat will get rid of every single little bit of residue. You put it in a normal oven, not only will the oven stink of wax, it will not get hot enough to get rid of all the carbon. So you'll have very limited success with that. You can use your Sievert torch and your other torches and your butane torches to melt the metal, not a problem. There's something called slingshot casting, slingshot lost wax casting, where you have your flask with chains leading to a handle. You melt the metal in the top of the flask, and when it's molten, you get the sling and you spin it around your head. Never tried it, never want to try it. I know people do it, but yeah, I think that's called slingshot casting, centrifugal casting, but you're the person that's
Doesn't sound very safe.
It doesn't.
Does it?
No,
Let's
no.
be honest.
Yeah, there's someone there with the flask, with the torch, and you're there. Ready? It's molten. Ready? Whoosh! And you.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's not good, is it? If you're scared of centrifugal casting, Louise, and that's just contained within that little thing, you would never do.
That
You
frightens me.
don't. So yeah, so that's what I can suggest. Okay, next question, please, Louise.
it's not something I want to be involved with. Okay, so no oven for that. M. Lyndon is asking, can I solder on top of solder? If so, should I use the same level HMS as used previously?
Okay, so I don't understand why you would want to solder on top of solder. Let me know. Yes, you can. You can use the same grade, same melting point solder, because once you've soldered it with one grade, say you start with hard, you melt the solder, you solder the particular joint. When you come to perhaps put the same solder on top of what you've just done or near to what you've done, the original joint will need a little bit more heat to melt because you've sort of burnt out some of the properties of the solder. So say it melts at 758 degrees, okay? When you come to melt it again, it may melt at 760, 770 degrees. It's only a little bit, but it'll take more heat than what it did last time to melt. So yes, you can use the same melting point solder on top of or near. And if you want to put solder on top of other solder, to be safe, I would use a lower melting point solder. So yes, you would have perhaps a hard solder and then you'd put some medium solder on top of that to melt. Not quite sure why you'd want to put too much solder on, but that would be the best way to do it. But let me know why you'd want to put solder on top of solder. I'm quite intrigued. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. Bill is asking, do you use bezel blocks for making settings? Do you know where I can find them? I can't seem to find them anywhere.
I've just broken my lens a minute. Hang on a sec. Keep talking, Louise.
That's the end of the question.
Hang on. I just broken this a minute. Hang on.
Sharon's getting lots of hellos as well.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so I have to just, yeah, you didn't quite get you then, Sharon. Let's have a look. Now, there's Sharon. There she is, there she is. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so the question was, do I use bezel blocks? Was that the question, Louise? Sorry.
Do you use bezel blocks for making settings? Do you know where I can find them? I can't seem to find them anyway.
They're called tapered collet plates. Yes, I've got a few. They are very good to ensure nice even tapers. Perhaps if you do the technique that I just showed you earlier on with the cone shape to make in bezels, yes, I then would get the tapered bezel in the collet plate and tap down just to ensure a nice even circle. That would be the best thing to do. But they're not called bezel plates, they're called collet plates, because those things that you make for the stone sitting are traditionally called collets. It's a collet plate. You can get various degrees. I think you can get like a 17 degrees and a 23 degrees. Normally the 17 degrees is the correct one. That's quite shallow like that. A 22 is a little bit more of a splayed one. But I think 17 degrees, I think, is the right one to get. You can get them round, you can get them oval, you can get them square, you can get them hexagonal. But yeah, collet plates is what you want to search for. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Cecil is going to buy their first flex shaft. I was wondering if you have any recommendations. I know Fordham is the popular brand, but it's really expensive compared to other brands. Is it worth it?
Fix my camera now, there we go. Is it worth it? Fordham, I think it is worthwhile spending the money upon a Fordham, most definitely. Because, let me just spin this around, Sharon's just in shot now. You might get on the action, don't you, Sharon?
I do.
Start because I think she's just coming into the shot, you can just see. Definitely go for a Fordham. Because I think that is going to be your best bet. It is going to last you a lifetime. What do they say? Buy cheap, buy twice, is it? Is that what they say? Mm-hmm. Buy cheap, buy twice. There are cheaper brands. There's things like Seco, that's S-E-C-O. There's things like Milbro. Can't remember what the others are now. I've got those. I think my first pendant motor flex shaft with a Seco, still got it. Use it upstairs. In fact, that's what Jason was using today upstairs. So those brands, major well-known brands, are ideal. Try and buy one of them. But Fordham is like an industry standard nowadays. And if you are buying a pendant motor or flex shaft, make sure you get one with quick release handpiece. This is one that is not really that readily available. If you can get one with a flick on the side, and make sure that you can take them off as well, so you can swap them round to make a hammer handpiece, definitely a quick release handpiece as well. So don't buy the really, really cheap ones. Don't buy the really, really cheap ones from which way am I going this way? Don't buy the really, really, really cheap ones. Is that your dad?
To tell me about the aluminium.
You can answer it. Go on. I'll turn your microphone off. Go on. There we go. Sorry, Louise's mum's just ringing out to answer our question. So try and buy the best you could possibly get. Fordham, yes. Okay. If you're buying another brand, obviously make sure you get a flex shaft with a slip joint, so you can take the hand pieces off and you can change the tools really, really quickly. Something that I didn't realise when I bought mine for the first time, and I had to put like a bit of metal into the shaft to lock the shaft, get the spanner to undo it, then take the burr out, put a new burr in, get the spanner, turn it, and so forth. It's a lot of potch. I wish I'd known about the quick release handpieces, 35 years ago, but I was quite young and naive in those days, and I didn't know what to buy for the best. But always try and get one with a quick release handpiece, and that would be the best. Fordham, I love a Fordham because the foot pedals are really, really good, because they're very receptive to pressure. With the Seco one that I got up on stairs, you put your foot down, nothing happens. You put your foot down a bit more, and then a bit more, and then woo, it starts up, and you can't really get a good gradual increase in variable speed upon that. That's why I love the Fordhams, and I've got two here, and I got another one upstairs as well, and the foot pedals are absolutely brilliant. And I think we got some news on putting together 2 aluminium sheets, Louise. What is that? Yes.
Apparently there's a thick oxide layer on aluminium which makes it very difficult to solder.
Yes.
So cleaning and preparation is vital.
Yep.
So you need to abrade it, use some flux, and then solder straight away without delay. Soft solder, use a tin-based solder, and for hard solder, use a zinc-based.
Okay.
And the temperature range you're looking at is between 250 to 450 degrees.
So quite low. Quite low then.
This is
very
the
good.
advice of my metallurgist
Father.
source.
So there we go. Oh, in fact, sorry, Louise, your camera, your mic wasn't on after all that.
Again.
Sorry, Louise. Yeah, sorry, my fault. Louise's camera wasn't on. Louise,
Yes.
What was the answer?
The answer was aluminium has a thick oxide layer which makes it difficult to solder. So cleaning preparation is essential.
Yeah.
Abrade first using a flux and solder straight away without delay. Soft solder using a tin-based solder, or hard solder using a zinc-based. And the temperature range you want to be using is between 250 and 450 degrees centigrade.
So quite low then, really, isn't it? Okay, very good. Well, nice one. Thank you.
That's the advice of a metallurgist.
That's your, and that was your dad.
That's my dad, yeah.
That's your dad. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Next, perhaps we should get him on the question and answer.
You can answer the metal questions.
He could, couldn't he? Yeah.
Good, yes.
Next question, please.
Okay. Right. I can never pronounce it. How easy is it to do cloisonne?
Cloisonne?
Yes, that's it.
Cloisonne. How easy? And what type of enamelling is that, Louise?
French.
Yes, I know. No, is that?
That's what
I just said it's a friend.
She was. Perhaps we should ask Sharon this question, shouldn't we?
I don't know. In terms of.
Is that the one? I can never remember. Is that the one, the stained glass looking?
No. Well.
Is it within the cells and partitions?
I think so. Yeah.
I can never remember.
It's the French one, Andrew.
What is the definition of cloisonne?
I can't even say it. I can't even say it after you. Cloisonne.
Cloisonne.
Can't teach you.
What is the what? No.
Just,
how difficult?
Yes, how difficult?
I think initially it is difficult.
I can't even say it.
let alone do it. Go on. What's the definition, Louise?
It's an ancient technique for decorating metalwork objects. In recent centuries, vitreous enamel has been used, and inlays of cut gemstones, glass, and other materials were also used during older periods.
So there. Okay, how difficult is it? I think providing you have the right equipment and the right tools and the right metals, I think it should be pretty much straightforward, and just start off with the basic, simple shapes and build up to different shapes. And is it to do with the cells? Let me have a look. Let me have a quick look. What's it all about? What's it all about, Alfie? Making cloisonne. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the little partitions within. Yeah. So. Yes, it is making the little cells and partitions within shapes. I've never tried it. I have done enamelling, but I've never tried that particular technique. But I know it is very popular, and I wouldn't mind, if I get time, having a go at these things. But I think just start off with the basic techniques. Buy your powdered enamel, would be the best thing to do, and just make sure your enamels are really, really clean. And all the equipment you use to mix the enamels are really, really clean. You don't want to get any other colours within the enamels, because that will spoil the actual finished pattern. You can torch fire it, although it's better to get a kiln to do the firing as opposed to the torch, because the kiln you can regulate the heat, whereas with a torch it's really difficult, and perhaps you can burn some of the enamels if you get it too hot. But start off with the basics. Buy a book. There's some really good enamel books. I've got upstairs actually. Can't remember who the authors are now. But go on Amazon, search for enameling. There's 2 or 3 really good books out there. Buy them, read them, look on YouTube. Just do some research and have a look. But yeah, it's really good. Enameling is really good. I have done a little bit of it, not a lot. But yeah, have a go. There's no harm in trying. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Emanator Studios. I've heard about using citric acid for pickling in the home shop. Have you had any experience with that?
Citric acid, you can use citric acid. It is not as strong as normal pickle. It's a lot safer, because a lot of people will perhaps be doing jewellery in the home and they don't want acids around, especially if they've got pets and children. So citric acid is another substitute that you can use. It's obviously not as good or as quick as an acid or the safety pickle. You can use also vinegar mixed with salt as well, with water. That is very good. But again, it's not as good as the proprietary safety pickles, but under the circumstances and the conditions that you're in, it is the safest way of pickling your metal. Sometimes by using it warm, it may work a lot faster. But don't expect the same results as you do with your sodium bisulfate, which is your safety pickle, or your sulfuric acid. You won't get it, but it will get there eventually. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Mike has just signed up last week as an annual member. Are there films on At the Bench demonstrating chasing and repoussé?
There should be. There was going to be some, I think, last year, but we put them on hold. We do have all the equipment, we do have the punches and everything. I think we started a series, but there was no real interest at the time when it came to progressing that any further. I think we just went through the tools and equipment and how to make punches and where to get your punches from. But if you're interested, we shall certainly look at doing some films on some basic techniques on chasing, by all means, because we have all the equipment and we should do them. So not at the moment, but yes, over the next few months, I'll make sure that we do some basic films for you, just for you to understand and get the correct procedures and techniques. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. Victoria says, I use a Dremel. I would like to texture my silver with it. What are the best drill bits to use and best techniques?
Okay, so it depends upon what sort of textures you want to use. We have got, again, that upstairs. If I was upstairs in the other workshop, I could show you. We got some texture wheels, some satin finish wheels with little spikes that are hinged that spin around. You can use those for texture in your metal. You can get some things like, I've got them here, some Scotch-Brite wheels that are like almost like a scouring pad on the end of a mandrel that you can use to texture and put a matte finish. Ball burrs, you can get them and just randomly mark the surface with that. You can get things like heart burrs that are, there's my burr, there's my shaft there, and you've got burrs that are that shape, like a 90-degree setting burr, like this. Heart burrs, you can use these but turn them sideways so you have them that way. Yeah, that way there. And there's your metal down here, and those will make nice V-shaped grooves in the piece that you're doing, like a bark texture, and that's great. But anything that you can really put in the handpiece, the chuck, will produce a texture when it's rubbed against another piece of metal. But they're great. Burrs, you can use old burrs that perhaps become a little bit blunt when it comes to setting. You can use them to scratch over the surface. What else could we use? Yeah, what are they called? Heatless wheels, almost like carborundum wheels as well. You can use them to scratch a surface that goes over. That's a bit more directional. You can even buy little diamond flywheels that go into a Dremel or a flex shaft that produce gorgeous, exactly perfect diamond cut texture as well. So just have a look around, scour the catalogue to see what you can use. There are things like texture wheels that you can use, but depends on the texture. You can use that. You can get, like as I said, a ball burr for making sort of dents in surfaces like that. Anything that's burr shape that you can use to make shapes that will certainly work. And as I said, old burrs and so forth, ideal, because instead of just chucking them away, keep them in a little container and you can use them then to texture your metal. Maybe have our next question, please, Louise.
DRE is asking, how do you determine the amount of gold needed for casting?
Okay, the best thing to do there is to get a small, almost like a test tube or a small narrow cylinder. If you want to do it this way, there's several ways of doing it. Archimedes, you know when Archimedes jumped into the bath, the water rose. All right, so that is a good indication on what you can do. If you get, let's have a look. Can you all see that? I forgot my thing. So if you get a cylinder or something that you can put water in, all right, this is my cylinder, as you can see. You fill it up with water and you mark it on the glass where that water comes to, okay? You put your model or your master or your piece, what you want to cast, into the water. So here's our model here. And now the water will rise because it's displaced. So the water will rise up here. You then put a mark, okay? Take the model out. The water will go down to its original mark. Then you add your bits of silver or your casting grain into the container until the water comes back up to that line, that top line that you've just marked. that is exactly the right amount of metal that you're going to need to fill that master. Exactly. Okay, I'll say that's exactly what you need just to fill that. The other way would be to use specific gravity. You can get specific gravity tables. So for instance, if wax weighs 1 and you weigh a piece of wax and it weighs 1 gram, if you want to use silver, you would times that, I think it's by 11.8. So for every 1 gram of wax, it's 11.8 grams of silver. Gold is different, platinum is different, and again you can do it that way. But if you make it like an acorn, which is what I did the other day, you can't really put an acorn on the scales and go, well, an acorn has a specific gravity of, because it isn't possible. So what you'd have to do with an acorn is do that sort of technique. I think acorns float, so you have to push it under the water. Anyway, so that is, excuse me, the exact amount of metal needed to fill the master. But when you come to cast it, you're going to need a sprue. You're going to need a little bit more metal in the pouring channel. So when the metal, the mold is cooling, it's drawing the metal in. And also if you're using Delft clay, the more metal that is coming down on top of the piece, the better and better the model is going to be, your casting is going to be, because it needs the gravity to push it down into the mold. So you may need 11.8 grams to fill up 1 gram worth of master, but you need more than that to allow for the sprues, especially if you're doing lost wax casting. There may be quite a long sprue to come into the flask and then out from the flask to your master, but all that has to be taken into consideration. You can do it this way. What we do is, when we're doing lost wax casting, is that you fit it all to a rubber base. We weigh the rubber base first of all, then we add all the wax sprues and the wax masters. We then weigh it. You take that weight with all the wax masters away from the rubber base, or vice versa. Yeah, and that is the exact weight that you've got of the wax. Then you times that then by whatever metal you're casting, and that is the exact weight of silver that you need for the master, the sprues and everything else. That's about it. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. Stegles, would you be able to explain microscope focal lengths? How would I get maximum working distance for engraving?
Okay, so focal length. You get different. Let me put my scope here. This is a Meiji that I've got in front of me here. You can get different focal lengths, lenses that screw onto the bottom here. I've got 2 of them. One is fairly close up. What's this? This is an MA517. I have the faintest idea what strength this is, but I know I've got 2 of them. One enables you to focus within about 5 or 6 inches. The other one is something that you'd need if you were doing bowls and trophies and engraving further down. I don't know exactly which ones they are. But if you join the Engravers Cafe forum, just search for Engravers Cafe, just search for Sam Alfano. There's a ton of information on that forum. You can join it. It doesn't cost you anything to join. It's free to join. And there's lots of information regarding the Meiji scopes, which is this one here, or the Leica A60s that are really, really good as well. And everybody will be able to give you their own interpretation of what is best for the magnification for the lenses that screw on here. You can even get different lenses here as well. These are, I think these are 10 times eye lenses as well that go into the top as well. But everyone's different, depending whether you want to come quite high up or lower down. That's about the best thing that I can do. I don't know exactly what the right numbers are. But yes, you can go to the Engravers Cafe and they'll be able to tell you on there the best sort of type of lens that you're going to need. Time for one more question, I think, Louise.
Okay.
1 or 2 more questions.
Tammy is asking, in lieu of not having polishing compounds and proper power tools, will brass brushes create a near mirror shine? If not, what effects do brass brushes give, and what's the best hand polish compound?
Okay, so a brass brush will not give you a near mirror finish. No chance of doing that, because the brass obviously will mark and scratch the surface. The brass brushes are ideal if you want clean chains. Clean chains with a lot of soapy water, absolutely brilliant, because chains don't necessarily need a high glossy finish, especially if you're using very small trace chains and curved chains and that sort of thing. You could get away with things like Brasso or a metal polish that comes in a tube that you would use for polishing, say, your stainless steel upon your classic car, your chrome plates and that sort of thing. You can use them upon strips of leather that you can glue to a piece of wood. I don't have anything here. So like the wood you use for your sanding sticks or your buff sticks like this, you get a piece of leather with the soft side facing upwards. You then would put your polishing compound onto that, your metal polish that you can buy from Halfords or your local ironmongers, and you can use that to clean up the metal. You would need to go through all your different qualities of your emery paper to get to that stage. You can't just suddenly go from having emery paper 600 grit onto a fine high polish cream polish. It will never ever work. You'd have to work your way through all the various different stages to get to that. I would sort of perhaps start to look at buying things like Tripoli or a pre-polish that's, I don't know, £5–6, something like this, and then a rouge. Definitely start to invest in that. And again, you can use these compounds on your bits of leather and you can do some hand polishing with it. But brass, no, it will not get a mirror finish, unfortunately. Maybe have our last question, I think. What is the time? I think we still have a couple more, but it's about 4 minutes to go.
Okay. Yeah. Amco is asking, how useful are nylon jaw pliers on a scale from useless to must-have?
I've got some, sort of almost like bow closing pliers here. They are very handy at the bench. You can behind Jason here, we've got various pieces of equipment like shank benders and so forth that have Delrin dies. The same sort of thing as nylon. They are good, but if you've got something at the bench, instead of having to walk over to the other side of the studio, it's even better. These are, let me show you these here. So these are little bow closed. I call them like bow closing, but it's like a V with nylon, and then this piece of metal across the top here. They are good, and yes, I would recommend something like this that will really help you to bend heavy shanks rather than just simply relying on dissection pliers. You really do have to use your fingers with that. Something like these, you can squeeze them and it will bend the metal far easier, and because it's nylon, it'll protect the shank. So how useful are they? Yeah, out of 1 out of 10, 1 being useless, 10 being you've got to have them, I'd say they'd be about a 7 or an 8. People can get by without them, I think, but once you buy them, I think you'd use them quite a bit. So yeah, 7 or an 8 out of 10, definitely. Yeah, next question please, Louise.
Sandra is asking, how do you make that?
Which what?
How do you make that?
This. Square section. I don't have my, here we go. So how close can we come to this? Okay, yeah, square section wire. It's very difficult to bend it like that because it always wants to bend a diamond shape. You come along to the hinge. How close can we get with the hinge? You can see how the hinge is made. It's just like a tongue that goes with the outer bits, like that. And it's just simply drilled through to make the hinge. When it comes to the clasp, that's a little bit more difficult because the clasp is got a hole at this end here that the tongue goes into, and that's just simply a piece of metal that is just folded back on itself to make a bit of a tongue. So it sort of does, maybe two, so it does this. And there's a thumb piece on the top, and you do need to have a little bit of more detail on the hole and so forth. So it is quite straightforward. What you could actually do, instead of having the actual thumb piece that comes up on the top like that, just have a little bar that comes out of this side with a hole in here, so the bar will fit into the hole. Yep, it'll just go into the hole like that, and then have a figure of 8 catch that just comes over the outside that would just stop the bangle from pulling apart, as that does. But it's quite a simple, straightforward design, bit of Welsh gold. It says Cariad on it, bit of Welsh gold on the clasp. But yeah, it is quite nice, and perhaps I could do a film on that on At the Bench, couldn't I? Yeah, cool. Okay, go on, Louise. One more question. One more. You knew that was coming, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I got prepared actually because Gillian is asking when's the third Druzy film coming out.
It should have been last week. It'll be 2 this week. There we go. There'll be 2 for you this week. And we should be virtually, this week it's the back plate. We've done the textured, we textured the outer bezel, we textured the back plate. We're going to be putting it all together. We're going to be putting the bezel onto the back plate. We're going to be getting the shank to go out as well. So I think with the next 2 films, we should be pretty much finishing it. But thank you very much for that. Apologies, it has taken so long.
It's been
but there will be 2.
Thank
you. Yes, it has been. There will be 2 films this week for you because I did miss one out last week, so I do apologise. And also there were people who came on, I think it was last week or was it the week before, when I showed you the book that I had about the art of stamping by Mathieu Cheminay. I think that was correct, Louise, wasn't it? Mathieu Cheminay.
I think so, yeah.
If you want to win a copy of that book, I don't have it with me today actually. If you want to win a copy of that book, go on to the previous one of the films to this, watch the film, fill out the link to the competition. You could win your own copy of The Art of Stamping by Mathieu Cheminay. And we'll certainly let you know, but there's 1 copy up for grabs. Next and last question, I think, please, Louise. And then we got to close because poor old Sharon wants to go home. Next question, last question.
Yes. Amco is asking, do you have any news on the Bench Essentials focus group?
Yes, Louise has. We do. Yes, so we've gone through all the entries. I think there were over 200, Louise?
Yes, over 200, yeah.
200. We have gone through them meticulously, looking at all the answers to the questions we asked you. And we've chosen 10 people. And that's all we're going to say. And over the next week, you'll be notified via email. That's all we got to say at the moment. And that'll be coming very, very soon. So if by the end of next week, no, this week, you have not been notified, then unfortunately you have not been chosen for our focus group. But yeah, there's 10 lucky people who have been chosen. Is that all you need to say about that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. One more question.
I just know that as soon as you announce, then
everyone wants to get started.
Exactly.
Yes, there's a few more finishing touches I want to do regarding the way we present it and the way you go from one stage to the next stage. There's certain things I want to put into place that's going to be a little bit of fun, just so you cannot cheat. You cannot just go from one film to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and it's all done. Or you can't sort of miss out films. You have to do them in stages. And there's certain things we're putting into place, a little bit of fun, that enables you to go from start to finish in the correct order over the correct time.
And no cheating, no missing anything out.
And there's no cheating, because Louise will be watching out for you. All right, I think that should be about it, I think. I think that's about it for this afternoon. Thank you all for coming on today. Really do appreciate it. Anything else? We've got no competitions running, have we? No competitions. Focus group has been chosen.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to be doing is...
I think it was Romy. I can't find the post now, but I think it was Romy was asking about the 12-hour, the next 12-hour.
Yes. All we know at the moment is going to be the beginning of November. It's most probably going to be a Saturday again, beginning of November, 12-hour, most probably again 9 till 9 or from 8 till 8. Again, we're going to be having giveaways. We're going to be having discounts off all the popular brands, competitions, entries to win t-shirts and all that sort of thing that we did last time. But more people are going to be coming on board with giveaways and things to give away. And also, perhaps what we could ask for near the time is topics on sort of things that you want to see during the 12 hours as well. Yeah.
That will be done via the same sort of setup as before, but I think we need to pick maybe different topics
than last time.
What were included in the last 12 hours, or mainly different ones.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that'd be quite interesting to do. Yeah, okay.
But not
we'll do that.
cuttlefish casting.
Not cuttlefish.
Unless you want me to throw up live.
We like cuttlefish casting. Oh,
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh, no. So, yes, it will be coming up. No more details just yet. It's still 2 months away. September.
That'll go like that.
October. Yeah, it's going to be 2 months away. So we need to get cracking with that as well, don't we? Along with everything else we've got to do.
Polishing. I'll write that down, Natalia. That's good. We didn't do polishing.
Yes, we did.
Did we?
We did.
Oh, we did finishing and polishing.
Yes, we did, yeah.
I'll still write it down. Anyway.
All right, so there we go. That's about it.
Making stamps.
Making stamps would be a good one. Yeah, yeah. We can make stamps because there's the book by Mathieu Cheminay, The Art of Stamping. he's a French Canadian. So yeah, there's some stamps within there that we could try and replicate, and I have been allowed to reproduce some of the book as well for At the Bench, and to make some of the punches that were in the book as well. And that'd be quite an interesting one, wouldn't it? Doing tempering, the hardening and so forth. That'd be quite an interesting one to do. That would take up an hour. No worries. Anything else in, Louise?
No, I think that's it.
That's it. So everybody, thank you all very much for coming on today. It's been a blast as usual. Maybe up in the other workshop if Jason gets the all clear and he's negative. What if he's positive? Oh, he's going to be off another week after this, so we're going to be down here again next week.
Going to forget what he looks like.
No, Jason once seen, never forgotten. So everyone, take care. Thank you all for coming on this afternoon. Thank you to the 150 odd people who have been watching. Sorry we didn't get around to everybody's questions, but it is hard to do so many answers to all your questions, but we really do appreciate every single question that comes in. Louise goes through them one by one. If you want to get your question in for next week, you've got to get on so early. How far did we get to in the first 10-15 minutes, wasn't it, today? Something like that. Yes, sorry, that's okay. So you're getting the finishing slide ready. Well done, well done. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. We will see you same time. I won't say same place, but same time next week for some more question and answers. Everybody have a lovely, lovely week. Say goodbye, Louise.
Goodbye. Thank you for joining us.
Sharon, do you want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Take care, everybody. We will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.